So I wanted to talk about something that a lot of people find hard as a beginner freelance copywriter when they're trying to find a first client. And it's a roadblock people come up against over and over again, and they don't know how to fix it. So I want to give you a simple fix. Okay? And the problem, when you're looking for clients to work with as a copywriter, you're speaking to people, you're sharing your knowledge, you're connecting with people, you're starting conversations, and then as soon as you pitch your offer or share that you've got something for sale for them or something that can help them, the barriers come up and clients suddenly become uninterested and don't want to speak to you. Basically being ghosted. It's a horrible feeling because you feel like worthless, you don't feel fulfilled, you feel like people won't trust you, all these negative thoughts, right? And this came up in the community they have, the school community, which there'll be links in the description below if you want to check that out. But there's a question that come up. Someone was getting really frustrated by, they do what I was teaching in the course, in the zero to paid course, and they'd be outreaching, speaking to people, starting conversations, which is amazing. But then when it came to the point of like offering something, the client either went cold or just like saw the message and didn't respond. And it's so annoying being ghosted. So, why is this? Well, one of the big reasons I feel is people come across too formal, right? Now, I like to connect with a lot of potential clients on either YouTube or Instagram. If it's on YouTube, it'll usually be through email. If it's Instagram, it'll just be Instagram direct messenger. And if we think about what these platforms are for, take for example Instagram, when you're DMing someone or replying to a story or whatever, it's very conversational, very short messages, back and forth. There's not really anything too formal going on, right? Anything that feels like business, right? But some people think that by sending business-looking messages or more formal message on Instagram, they're going to have a higher chance of converting to a client, which I kind of have an argument against this because if we zoom out and look at why people are on these platforms in the first place, because they want fast communication, they want fast dopamine hits, they're on there more than likely just scrolling around and stuff like that. So we have to get their attention and start building a relationship from where they are currently at, right? There's no point trying to approach people in a really formal way if that's not what they're on the platform for, because you will then scare them, and that's why they will not respond to you. So the case in point, I had a client who was speaking to a potential client I had a student in the community who was speaking to a potential client. And he sent this message back and forth, replying stories, and it looked like it was going really well. And then he sent the offer over and basically just no response, even though the person had seen this message. And I was a bit like, that's weird. So I made a Loom video responding to it. I was like, look, this is what I see happening. Like, look at the previous message you sent this guy. They're very short, punchy messages. And then you literally you send him over a Google Drive link with all these paragraphs of text. And I could almost guarantee the person would have opened that message and not even read a single word of it, because it's like, whoa, this is like not what I'm on this platform for right now. That would have been better suited in an email stance, I would have suggested. So I said to him, look, like, go back to this guy, or if you feel like you don't want to speak to this person again, move on to another potential client. But when you do speak to them, keep the format and structure of how you're communicating with them and almost mirror how they're speaking to you, right? So if they're speaking in short sentences, you speak in short sentences. If they're using funny language, use funny language. If they're using emojis, use emojis. If they're not, then don't use them. Things like that. That is a really good way of building a connection with someone that people really miss, and they don't understand it, but it adds up massively when you're trying to connect with a potential client and get them to pay you money for providing a service, right? And the next thing I wanted to kind of touch on, which is kind of related to this, is people want to buy things, but they don't want to be sold to. So if you try and sell somebody something, like your copywriting service or a package or something like that, and you are trying to sell that to them, that's creating like this resistance between you and a potential client from experience. So what you want to do is you want to speak to them in a way that puts them in a position where they are ready to buy, and they have to make the decision to buy. They're not being sold something, they are actively buying something from you, if that makes sense. And the way we do that is by not coming across as desperate, right? And I see this a lot when people are getting started because they obviously want to make money fairly quickly with copywriting and stuff, which is the wrong way to approach this, I think. But they come across as desperate, and people can see desperation very easily in messages in the written form. And it's an instant turn off because it instantly shows you aren't confident in what you're offering, or that's what it's perceived as. And perception is the biggest thing here. You may be completely confident, but if a client senses you are not confident, job done. It's not going to be pursued. So we have to come across as confident, and the way we do that is by not being desperate. So the more you can speak to a client and the more you can come across like you don't need them as a client, the higher your success rate will be with copywriting, right? You're literally saying to them, look, I have this package, I have this offer, I can do this for you, I can help you achieve this result. It's there if you want it. This is what it'll do. This is what it's done for other people. I'm over here if you want me to answer any questions. Here's the buy button if you're interested. That's really like dumbed down and simplified, but it's not desperate at all. Whereas if I was trying to convince them why they needed this, to me that would come across as desperate. In a sense, you shouldn't need to convince somebody on why they need copywriting. They're the wrong types of people you should be looking for. If you have to convince them why they need copywriting, you're going to be going down the wrong way with the wrong type of client. Somebody has to understand the value of copywriting for them to become a client. And that goes for anything. If somebody doesn't understand the value of it, yes, you have to educate them, but you have to do it in a way that is like brand building over time and getting them to winning their trust over time. If you try and do it really fast in a message or video or over a sales call, whatever, I can almost guarantee it will leave you in a stress situation without the client you were hoping to land. So I hope that was useful. If you've got any questions, drop them below. I'll get back to you, and I will see you in the next video.